Good morning to all the students of class 9. Most welcome to all of you in this video lecture. This is Karunesh Mishra, subject teacher of social study from Lakshmi Prasad Memorial Public School, Gola Bazaar, Gorakhpur. Dear students, previously we have studied about the factors of productions like land, labor, physical capital and human capitals from the chapters The Story of Village Palampurs. Today we are going to study about the first and very important topics of the chapter farming in the Palampur. The first factors of productions is the land. So we are going to study about the land at first. So let's start. Dear students, you all know about it very well that farming is the main productions activity in Palampur. 75% of the peoples who are working are dependent on farming for their livelihood in the Palampur. In the Palampurs, they could be farmers or farm laborers. The well-being of these peoples is closely related to the productions on the farm. But remember that there is the basic constraints in raising farm productions. What are the constraints in raising farm productions? Let's study about it. Dear students, as you all know that land area under the cultivations is practically fixed. Since 1960 in Palampur there has been no any expansions in the land area under the cultivations. By then some of the wasteland in the village had been converted to the cultivable land. There exists no further scopes to increase farm productions by bringing new land under the cultivations. So, okay, students. So the first thing which we need for the productions activity is a land. Land is a fixed. There is no any way to increase the lands. So land is very land is a fixed elements of productions. Most of the peoples in Palampurs depend on farming for their earning livelihoods. 75% of the peoples who are working are dependent on the farming for their livelihood. Okay, students. The second, is there a way one can grow more from the same land? Let's study about it in the kind of crops grown and the facilities available. Dear students, Palampur would resembles a village of the western parts of the state of Uttar Pradesh. All the land is cultivated in the Palampur. No land is left idle. No land is left idle during the rainy seasons. Kharif crops are grown by the farmers of village Palampurs. They grow jowar and bajra as a kharif crops, and these plants are used as a cattle feed. As a cattle feed, it is followed by the cultivations of potato in between the month of October and December. And December's in the winter seasons, Rabi crops are grown by the farmers of the Palampurs in their field. So the field are sown with the wheat, which is Rabi crops and which is grown in the winter seasons by the farmers of the village Palampur. Village Palampurs from wheat produced farmers uh, keep enough wheat for the family's consumptions and sell the surplus wheats at the market at Trigons. A part of the land area is also devoted to the cultivations of sugar cans which is harvested once every year. So sugar cane in its raw forms or as a jaggery is sold to traders in the Sahapur. The main reason why farmers are able to grow three different crops in a year in the Palampur is due to the well developed system of irrigations. Electricity came earlier to Palampur. It, its major impact was to transform the system of irrigations. Its major impact was to transform the system of irrigations. Persian fields were till then used by the farmers to draw water from the wells and irrigate small fields. People saw that the electric run tube wells could irrigate with the largest could irrigate much larger area of land more effectively. The first few tube wells were installed by the government. Soon, however, farmers started setting up private tube wells. As a result, by mid 1970, the entire cultivated area of 200 hectares was irrigated. Not all the villages in India have such high level of irrigation system. Apart from the refinery plants, coastal regions in our country are well irrigated. In contrast, plateau regions such as the Deccan plateaus have a low level of irrigations of the total cultivated area in the country. A little less than 40% is irrigated even today. In the farming areas, farming is the largely dependent on rainfall. Okay, students, so to grow more than one crop on a piece of land during the year is known as the multiple cropping. What is the multiple cropping? Multiple cropping is the growing of more than one crop on a given piece of land during the year is known as the multiple cropping, and it is the most common way of increasing productions on the given piece of land. All farmers in grow all farmers in Palampur grow at least two main crops: Kharif crops and Rabi crops. What are the Kharif crops which are grown by the farmers of village Palampur? Jowar and Bajra. They use these as a cattle feeds. And the second crops which are grown by the farmers of Palampurs are wheat. Palampurs are wheat, which is grown in the winter seasons by the farmers of the Palampur. Okay, students. And the third, all farmers in Palampur grow these two main crops. Many are growing potatoes as a third crops in the past 15 or 20 years. Okay, students. So in the past 15 or 20 years, many are growing potato as a third crops. You have seen that one way of increasing productions from the same land is the multiple cropping. Now we are going to study about the other way which is used by the farmers of Palampurs to increase the productions of food grains. That is the modern farming methods for higher yield. Dear students, yield is measured as a crop produced on a given piece of land during a single season. Till the mid 1960, the seeds used in cultivation. Till the mid 1960, the seeds used in the cultivations were traditional one with a relatively low yield. So traditional seeds needed a less irrigations. Farmer used cow dung and other natural manure as a fertilizers. All these are readily available with the farmers who did not have to buy them. So they did not have to buy chemical fertilizers, pesticides and also the farming machineries from the markets. At that times, they have all the necessary things for the farmings. So previously they were using the traditional seeds which does not needed very high amount of the waters. Okay, students, so the green revolutions in the late 1960s introduced the Indian farmers to cultivations of wheat and rice using the high yield varieties HYV of seeds compared to the traditional seeds. The HYV seeds promise to produce much greater amount of grains on a single plant. As a result, the same piece of land would now produce far larger quantities of food grains than was possible earlier. HYV, the green revolutions in the late 1960 introduced the Indian farmers to the cultivations of wheat, and rice using high yield varieties of seeds. Yielding varieties of seeds compared to the traditional seeds, the HYB seeds promise to produce much greater amounts of grain, produce much greater amount of grains on a single plant. As a result, the same piece of land would now produce far larger quantities of food grains than was possible earlier. Dear students, HYB seeds, however, needed a plenty of water and also chemical fertilizer and pesticides to produce best result. Higher yield were possible only from a combinations of HYV seeds, irrigations, chemical fertilizers, and pesticides, etc. Okay, students. These so dear students, let's discuss some important questions related to these topics which are often asked in the examinations. Highlight the basic contents in raising productions from a farm. Dear students, the basic constants in raising productions on a farm on from a farm are the basic contents in raising productions on from a farm are: the first one is the land area under cultivations is practically fixed, as I have explained you. The second, there has been no any expansion in land area under cultivations after 1960. By then, some wasteland in the village had been converted to the cultivable land. And third, there is no further scope to increase farm productions by bringing new land area under cultivations, as no new land is available. The second important questions related to this topic: explain the term physical capital, mention its different types with examples. As I have explained to you earlier that there are two kinds of physical capitals. The first one is the fixed capital and the second is the working capital. So physical capital is the capital that is further used in the productions of more goods such as tools, equipments, machines, and raw materials. The two types of physical capital are fixed capital. It is that capital which can be used over and over again. This capital lasts for a longer time, such as machines, building, and tools. The second physical capital is the working capital. Working capital, dear students, it consists of those goods that are used up in the process of production, such as raw materials and money in hand. So raw material and money in hand are the examples of working capitals, which consist of those goods that are used up in the process of productions. Okay, students. Next important question related to this topic: distinguish between Kharif and Rabi seasons, or Kharif or rainy seasons crop. Dear students, Kharif seasons crops and Rabi seasons. Kharif seasons, it is identified with the rainy or wet season. On the other hand, Rabi seasons is identified with the winter or dry seasons. The second distinctions or distinguish between Kharif and Rabi seasons is the crops are sown in June and July. That means Kharif crops are sown in the month of June and July and harvested in the month of November and January, whereas Rabi season crops are sown in the month of October and November and harvested in the month of April and May. Kharif crops are jowar and bajra. Jowar and bajra are the examples of Kharif crops, and wheat is an important examples. Wheat is an examples of Rabi crop. Okay, students, is it clear to all of you? State the importance of growing more than one crop on a piece of land. This one is related to this topics. Is there a way one can grow more from the same land? So let's discuss about it. Dear students, the importance of growing more than one crop on a piece of land is: number one, it retains the fertility of soil. Number two, it generates employment for many people throughout the year. And number three, it benefits the farmers economically. So these are the importance of growing more than one crop on a piece of land. Okay. So the next which I have discussed in this topic, next questions. What is the multiple cropping? How does it help in farmers' prosperity? Okay, students, what would be the answers of these questions? When two or more crops are grown on a given piece of land during a year, it is known as multiple cropping. What? When two or more crops are grown on a given piece of land during a year, it is known as multiple cropping. This is the most common way of increasing productions on a given piece of land. Raising two or more crops from a given piece of land in a year translates into a corresponding increase in a farmer's income, and it also helps in the farmer prosperity. Now, dear students, modern farming methods, which is the second or others way to increase the productions of food grains. So the modern farming methods requires more inputs which are manufactured in industry. Do you agree with this? Modern farming methods are the result of decades of scientific research. This research was in the form of high yielding varieties of seeds, irrigations, equipments, tractors, insecticides and pesticides, which are all produced in the industry. So the result is that with greater adoptions of modern farming methods, interdependence of agricultures and industry has increased manifold. Got it? Again, I am explaining. Modern farming methods are the result of decades of scientific research. This research was in the form of high yielding varieties of seed, irrigations, equipments, tractors, insecticides and pesticides, which are all produced in the industry. So the result is that with greater adoptions of modern farming methods, interdependence of agriculture and industry has increased manifold. And one also questions which may come from this topic. What do you mean by green revolutions? Green revolutions. Why was it caused? What do you mean by green revolution and why was it caused? Green revolutions means a rapid and sustained increase in the output of agriculture over a long period of time. These revolutions took place in India in the late 1960s. The output of food grains increased manifold. Initially, the Green Revolution was limited only to wheat and rice crop, but lately it is spread to other crops like rice and oil seeds. It was caused by the use of modern methods like high yielding varieties of seeds, chemical fertilizer, insecticides, pesticides. Okay. One also important questions. Land being a natural resource is necessary to be carefully used. Why? And it may be asked in others way. What are the drawbacks of modern farming methods? Okay, students. So let you know, land or natural resources is a subject to degradations due to negligence and over exploitations. Highly fertile pieces of land are being degraded. They have become barren and uncultivable. This is due to the over-utilizations of chemical fertilizers in order to increase the yield with a higher cost of productions. Groundwater resources are also depleting faster. The farmers need to dig deeper in order to get water. Chemical fertilizers kill bacteria and other microorganisms in the soil and make it unfit for cultivations. So all these indicates that land, a fixed asset, is under deep stress. So these are the drawbacks or demerits of modern farming methods. Okay, students. So what can be done to increase the non-farm activities in the Indian village? This we will discuss later. Okay, students. Mention three characteristics of the traditional method of farming. As I have explained you that about the traditional method of farming and modern method of farming. So what are the three characteristics of traditional method of farming, dear students? Traditional seeds with low yield were used. Cow dung and natural manures were used. Less irrigations was required for traditional farming methods. Okay, students, got it? Or any problems? I hope that now it is clear to all of you, and you all will be able to write the answers of all these questions in your own word. Okay, students, now I am going to describe the role of human capital in the production process. Name two investments that can improve the quality of human capital. Human capital can be built only in the long run through education and training. Human capital includes competent and trained and trained people who put together land, capital, and other factors of production to produce goods. Farmers of which two states were the first to use the modern farming methods in India? Mention any four positive effect of it. As I have explained you that the farmers of Punjab, Haryana, and Western Uttar Pradesh were the first to use the modern farming methods in India. The modern farming methods increase the productivity of land. It increases food grains productions in the country. It brought the green revolutions in the 1960s, which resulted in the high increase in the productions of cereals, grains, particularly wheat and rice. It has played a very important role in the food security. It has led to growth of agro-based industries. Okay, students, that's uh, all. Thank you for listening me. Have a great day to all of you. Take care on your health, and be the studious one.